My name is Biljit. Welcome to my channel where you do as I say and not as I do. We're gonna continue working on the I35, the 2002 Infinity. So far, we scanned the codes and we fixed the oil leak, which was the oil cooler O-ring that I replaced in the last episode. In this episode, I'm going to work on the traction control and the ABS lights that are on the dashboard, and the speedometer is not working on this car. So I'm gonna do that. We'll see, maybe we'll get to installing the window regulator, maybe not, but that is the plan for this episode, and then we'll go from there. So let's get to it. So you win some and lose some. I did the oil change on this car and I fixed the oil leak. It was not the oil pan gasket, even though that was a good thing I changed it, because it was just RTV on there and it was very thin. So it was the O-ring for the oil cooler, they call it on this car, basically where the filter housing is. I mean, I call it a filter housing, where the filter screws onto the car, onto the block on the side of the pan. And there was an O-ring in there that was either crushed, or it was just I showed you guys. So I replaced that fixed the oil leak. It hasn't been leaking. And then so the wins are, I drove around the car around my house. I didn't go too far, couple of miles radius. I drove it around yesterday, and it was the battery. So the lights went away, the speedometer started to work, everything is like working fine right now, as far as those type of things. So I'm glad that was it. So I did buy a refurbished reconditioned battery. Like I said, like those are my favorite, and I paid only $40 for the battery with the exchange. So the battery that was in this car was not the correct battery for this car. This car had a 36R battery, which is for like a Ford Taurus. It was in this car, and I think this car belongs like a 24F or something like that. It's similar battery, but it's just a little bit taller. But anyways, that was not even that. So when I went to go take the battery off, the terminals were super loose. There was some corrosion. So I have some battery terminal cleaner spray you can buy from any auto parts store for a few bucks. So I sprayed that on there. That gets rid of any corrosion. But if you don't have that, if you have just like any soda, like dark soda, like Coke or Pepsi, anything like that, if you just pour that onto your terminals, if you have corrosion on there, that will eat it up, and you'll have a really clean battery terminals. You might have some sticky soda-ness, or you can just hose that off, but it will clean all that up. That's like a hack, it's an old school hack. Everybody pretty much knows that if you've been working on cars. So I was driving it around. What I found, it was really bouncy. This car was really bouncy. It drove like somebody cut the springs on this car or something. So I came back and I started looking, and I noticed the passenger side where all the issues are was it's like at least like an inch or inch and a half sagging on this side. So I'm thinking the strut is busted or whatever. Whenever the damage happened on the passenger side, the strut was popped, so it's not working properly. So I did pick up a strut and spring assembly, so it's all together, so I don't have to take off, compress the spring or anything. It's just it's gonna be really fast. Just a couple of bolts down there. I think there's 3 bolts up here on the strut tower, and that thing will come out. So another thing that was happening with this car when I was on my test drive is, after a while, when I was coming to a stop, the low engine oil light was flickering. So I checked. When I came, there was no leaks, and the oil seems to be fine. So I picked up another oil pressure sensor. It was like 10 bucks. They're like 10-15 bucks. I picked that up. So while I'm gonna jack up, it sits on the same side where the bad strut is. So I'm gonna jack up the car on this side, replace the strut at the same time, replace that oil pressure sensor, and then I'll let you guys know. And then hopefully that will be the end of the mechanical issues with this car. As far as the engine, there are some issues with the driver's side door. The window is not rolling up. and I believe the culprit is gonna be the motor, because I cannot hear the motor running, or I can't hear anything. So if the switches were bad, then all of them wouldn't work. So like I can roll down all the rest of the windows except the driver's side window. So I'm gonna say the motor is bad. So that's what I'm gonna do, is I'm gonna take that apart and replace the motor and see if that fixes the issue. I'm not sure how much the motor is. Shouldn't be that expensive. I'm gonna say like around $50, but I'll give you guys updated on how much that was. But other than that, I'm gonna get going and fix this, and I will let you guys know what's going on in a little bit. Okay, so we're in here in the garage now. I moved the car in here. I replaced the battery on this car, and what happened was, oh look at that, that's a big spider. I think it's dead though. What happened was, after I replaced the battery on this car, the before the traction control light and then the other light would come on, and then after a few cycles they would turn off and everything was working. But now they have completely shut off. And then I looked in the forums and see what it could be, and then what I found was that it's one of the causes is down there on the driver's side where the transmission is. There is it's called a sensor, the speed sensor. There's two of them. There's two speed sensors. There was one that was expensive that has like a little gear on it, and then there was this one just like a regular sensor. It's right here. I have it right here. It's this one. So this one. So I got this one, and I'm gonna replace it because this was cheaper than the gear one. And see, and that's what I saw most people replace on the internet, was this one. And then I'm gonna see what happens and go from there. If not, then we're gonna replace both of them, because I did some research, and the light means the TCS, the speed sensor light means, and that's what the code was. I had a code as well. I ran the codes with my scanner. That's what the code was as well, that it was something to do with the speed sensor. So I'm gonna change that. And I also ordered a window regulator for this door, because the window doesn't go up and down. The switch is unresponsive, so I'm guessing the motor is probably burnt out. And I ordered a window regulator with the motor, so that way I don't have to like take too much stuff off. So I'm gonna try to replace that as well on this side, and then this, and then yeah, so that's the plan for now. Let me get that big spider out of the way. I mean, it's dead. I fogged the underneath of the car, actually my garage, and you know, to get all of that, all the bugs out of the car while I'm working on it, because it's been sitting outside at somebody's house, the previous owner's house. But anyways, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change that and see if that fixes it, and I will let you guys know in a little bit. So I'm not sure, so I just want to show you guys, it's right there, that's the sensor. There's two of them. There's one behind it, and then there's one right there. We're gonna change that first one and then go from there. So it's just like, let me take you guys back. So it's like right here, this is the wheel well on the driver's side, and we're gonna go here and just like right there. So simple, easy access, no big deal. And then change that out, and then we'll see. I'll let you guys know if that worked. Okay, I fixed the traction control problem. It was the sensor. So there are two sensors right there. There's one, the first one, and then the second one. At first I changed the first one, that didn't do anything. Then I was like, oh, let me change that one in the back. I don't know if you guys can see that one. The one in the back. And I was like, okay. So what I did is the one I took out from the first one, I put it in the second one, and that took care of the light. So I don't have the light anymore. So what I'm gonna do is, now is I'm gonna put the wheel back on and then take it for a test drive and see if my speedometer is working, and then if the the automatic transmission light will go away. But I'm pretty confident that was the problem. It was the sensor. So like I said, I first replaced the first sensor that was closer toward outside, and that didn't do anything. And I was looking at it really closely at the other sensor, and it looked like they had the same plug. And I was like, you know what, let me pull that sensor out and see if it's the same sensor. And it was exactly the same sensor. It's like, it's right there. So it was the same sensor, and I switched it out with the one I took out, and then the light went away. So I'm gonna put all this back together, take it for a test drive, and I'll let you guys know pretty soon what happened. And then in that box right there is the window regulator with the motor, and that's what I'm gonna be doing next. Today should be pretty simple, but I haven't done one. I watched a few videos, but I haven't done one on this car, so I don't think it should be that hard to do. I think it's like a couple of bolts, and then I think 4 more bolts underneath the door panel, and then the window regulator comes out. So I'm gonna try to tackle that today, and then also before that I'm gonna take it for a test drive and see if I fixed the automatic transmission problem. All right, I'll let you guys know in a little bit about the transmission. All right, so I'm back working on the I35. I waited a few days. I ordered some parts and actually went to AutoZone. I got some stuff. And hopefully this is all I need to get this car done. So here, let me show you guys what I have. So what I got right here is I got the, is it called a left side front strut and a front strut assembly, as well as I got both of the cam sensors and the second speed sensor that I didn't change. So I got all of these items. You know, I was like, might as well just change everything. I wasn't gonna change the shock, but I took it for a test drive, and it was pretty rough. Every time I hit a pothole, it was rough. I felt like it was like I was like breaking something. So even though on this side it wasn't that bad, so we already changed the strut on the passenger side, so I was like, might as well. And I got a pretty good deal on it. I just picked it up at AutoZone. If you sign up for their account, they'll start sending you coupons, and you accumulate every time you buy parts. I get like $20 off like all the time, or like, you know, in points, and then they send me like $10 on $50 and things like that. So that's what I was, and then also they price matched it, so it was pretty comparable to if I bought it on Amazon. But anyways, what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to jack up the car on this side, remove this wheel, and change the speed sensor, replace the strut. Then I'm going to lower this car down, and the camshaft sensors are on the top, and then I'll change those out, and hopefully that'll take care of all my electrical gremlins that I have in this car. If not, then the only thing that will be left to change will be the crankshaft sensor. So that would be the next, but I think this should solve it from what I have been researching in the forums and looking around and everything. So this should solve our issue, hopefully, finger crossing. Alright, I will get this done and I'll get back to you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please smash the like button and also subscribe to my channel. Also leave a comment in the comment section below of if you guys are liking me making shorter videos of the projects rather than just like one long video. That was a feedback from one of the viewers that told me that instead of making such long videos, make shorter videos. That is a little bit more entertaining for the viewers. So I do listen to you guys. So please leave a comment, and I do reply to those. Other than that, hope you guys have a fantastic day.